This week we begin our mat board albums. I'm going to show you today how to cut them. And I made a to scale drawing, and it's messy, but I'll still put this in your kit to show you how you can get enough to make 2 albums in one time. We're going to start with the bigger pieces, make sure we can get those, and then we're going to make smaller pieces, and then I'll show you how to cut it. Now I actually took a ruler and drew the lines for the big piece and the major 1, 2, 3 pieces. That's this one green, red, and black, and I drew them with white marker. Eon gave me these great pens for Christmas, these jelly rollers, and that marks really well on white board. I don't want the white to show, but you can always cover it with paper. But I wanted to show you an idea of how to cut your board so you will plan ahead of time. It does not have to be this diagram, but if you want to get 2 albums, you want to think carefully. So the mat board is cheapest when you get a bunch. So you'll each be getting 2 sheets of this. I did discover when I cut last night that the 9x12 is just about 1/8 of an inch smaller than 9x12, or at least the page I was working on. So I will put 2 of these in your kit. It has a smooth side and it has a rough side. I like the smooth side to be on the outside of the album, and it has good adherence. And sometimes I don't cover it all, so I like the little texture side on the other. So let me move this big box and show you how we're going to cut this. Whoops, lost my chart. Okay. I recommend a paper trimmer. This is, I think, 2 millimeters thick. The paper trimmer only cuts 1 millimeter. Our paper, our mat board and covers are 6 11/16 by 7 11/16. I'm going to take the larger measurement from the short side and the shorter measurement from the long side. So let's start with 6 11/16. Now if your trimmer does not go down to 16ths, feel free to make it 6 3/4. It's so close. So if you go to 6 1/2 and count 3 little lines after that on most fiskars, you will have 11/16. Now there is a little guard on your cutters. I want you to press down on that guard, and then I want you to run a couple times back and forth. Then you're going to remove your mat board, flip it over, find your measurement again. So I'm going to 6 1/2 and 3 little lines afterwards. Hold it down again and slice. Now it should come out fairly smooth. This one did. If it does not, if you have any flurries or fluffies, you might want to take a piece of sandpaper and just rub it a little bit to make sure it's smooth. Okay, my next measurement is 7 11/16. So it doesn't matter which side you start on. Go to the 1/2 inch mark and count 3 little lines. 1, 2, 3. And like I said, if you don't have 16ths, feel free to use 8ths and go up to 7 3/4. Just be consistent. So run it a couple times, turn it over, go to the 1/2 inch line, and then 1, 2, 3, 7, 6, and 11/16. There we go. And here is the cover of your mat board. So the main thing to remember is plan your board ahead of time so you know where you want to put things. And if you do not want to use the 11/16 measure, feel free to use 3/4. It's approximate, but if it's easier for you to read, go ahead and do it. Okay, now I'm not going to cut the other pieces in front of you, but I'm going to show you how to put it together with tape. Now, I mentioned in my intro that the gaff tape or the construction tape comes in a long tube. And I think I sent you all a link to that. And I wasn't sure how to share it, but I did tear some off and put it on a row of cardboard. And I'm going to try to use that today and see if it goes smooth enough for you to use it. So this is a little bit of an experiment. As I said before, I like the smooth side on the outside. So I'm going to put my smooth sides down. Then I have, whoop, wrong one. I have a 7/8 inch by 7 7/16, which is my spine. So I have 3 pieces I want to put together. Now, the purpose of the construction tape is to give you a nice, smooth finish edge. And it also gives you a flexible hinge. So, this is tearable. You can tear it, but I don't like to. I like to use, because my tape has a little bit of a white core, I like to use titanium scissors to cut it. You can use any scissors, but have some nail polish remover if your scissors get gooky. So, I'm going to start by just taking a little teeny piece and putting it on the edge of my spines, the top of my spines. Half on, half off, and fold it over. Then you can use your scissors and trim any excess, because the tape is 1 inch wide and the piece we're covering is 7/8 inch. So take one more little piece, put it on the other end. Because it's black, you can't really see it, but I do like working with black mat board because you can use less construction cardstock paper later. So now I'm going to, you can do it in one piece, and Paul Ford's video shows you how to wrap this all in one piece. Maybe I'll do one in one piece and one in pieces, so you'll have both techniques. So I'm just going to open my tape here, lay a short edge in the middle of the tape, push it down a little, and open your tape more, roll your tape, place your mat board in the middle of your tape. Doesn't have to be exact. One more time, unroll your tape, place your mat board down. Now you're going to trim it right at the edge, like so. Okay, so now I have the tape wrapped around the edge of the board. I'm going to make a slit. Paul likes to use V's. I find if I make a slit, it doesn't stick to my scissors as much. And then I just take a little bit of a corner out. Don't know if we can see this or not, but I take out a little bit of a corner on the top part. Hardest part of this is it does stick to the scissors a little. So I have a slit cut to the board, and I'm cutting a little bit of a board there. My triangle wasn't perfect. Yours doesn't have to be either. So I have to do that 4 times because there's a front and a back. If the tape gets stuck on itself, just open it. For some reason, I do not like taping on the video. I find it an awkward angle to do things in front of a camera, but I think it does help you to see it done, and since we're not meeting in person, this should be the second best. Okay, I'm laying it on its side now. I'm starting in the middle of a short edge, and I'm just pushing down the tape, and then I'm pressing it between my fingers and pushing it down like that. Turn it over, start in the middle of the board, press down, and now when you get to the top, you have a little bit of an angle that we cut out. I still start in the middle, and I just press backwards. I have a little bit of extra tape there, I see it. Remember what my cut wasn't perfect. Let's try the small scissors and get rid of that piece. There we go. All right. I now have tape all around 3 edges. I have tape at the top of these 2 edges, and I'm going to tape this one. I said I'd do it 2 ways, so I will. I actually like the wrapping around way most. I'm just going to lay this tape down on the table, my work table, and put this on halfway. It is very sticky, so it sticks to your fingers. I'm going to lay it down on the table. That secures 1/2. Start in the middle, put it down. So I have one side covered. Cut another piece. About the size, if it's a little bigger, it's okay. About the size of your book. Yeah. And remember I told you about fluffies? Cut this one yesterday, and I see fluffies. So see, there's a little. It didn't meet perfectly. So I'm just going to take a sandpaper, make that a little smoother. Okay. That's one side. That isn't quite long enough. Now we'll see if I left you enough for mistakes. I'm not going to cut it till I get it on. That's why I like wrapping it around. I think you waste less tape. I'm starting at the end, putting it in the middle of the tape, pressing down. There we go. And if I lay one side down, I can just push the other one down with my fingers. Now for the top, you want to start by cutting a little bit of a point on your tape. And this is my smooth one. Start at the end. That'll give you that little diagonal we want. Pull your tape down. So it's right in the middle. Cut it off at an angle. And I'm going to now cut the other angle off. The angle just helps it not pull up on the corners when you are taping your papers off. But I still start in the middle and push down on both sides. Okay, I'm going to save this tape because it'll work on our little book. Now we have 3 pieces, and they all are edged in the tape. You want a piece of tape that's 1 inch bigger, at least 1 inch bigger. And I'm going to start by taking my little spine, placing it. No, I'm going to start with the big. Want the smooth on the outside. So I'm placing this right there. And then I'm taking my spine placing it straight up and down against that front piece. There we go. And I'm rolling my paper and pushing it down, but I'm not pushing that extra piece. I'm keeping that open because when I open this, there'll be a little bit of a gap, and that gives you a natural hinge area. The piece that was longer, I now just fold down, like so. And now we could use that little piece we used, because what we want to do is cover up that gap with your construction tape. And it goes right in that little groove, and it gives you a little hinge. Now this one will be a little bit easier. Remember, I have the smooth on the outside. If you make a mistake on that, it's okay. So I'm putting two of them together, and I'm cutting one more piece of tape. It needs to be about 1 inch longer. Little pieces get everywhere. So I have, there's a little piece. Okay. Now I have a big one, a hinge. I'm laying the other cover that does not have an edging right together, and I'm placing them together. This is what I should have done the first time. In the middle of the tape, and I'm laying them backwards and laying them forwards. Whoop, backwards didn't quite catch. And laying them forwards. There we go. Now, remember, we don't squeeze the edges. Just run your finger down that and then open up the album cover. Get out any wrinkles if you can. Like leaves a natural gap. Take the tail, pull the tail down. Your other tail. There we go. Now we have a little bit of the spine still exposed. I'm trying to use this to make sure I give you enough tape. Cut a piece. And it is working okay on these little tubes, so that's good to know that we can share it. Lay it over the opening. There we go. And here is your album cover. Now we're going to do it again, but I'll do this one with you Thursday. But I'd like you to have both albums cut out by Thursday. And here when I cut out this one, I did have some fuzzies. So again, just take a piece of sandpaper and make it smooth. So you're going to have two covers, hopefully the same size. I think they're 5.5 by 3.5. And then the binder on this one is 2 inches. This is only 7/8. We're going to have 8 little pages in the mini album. So we're going to do the same exact thing. And the only difference is, where's one?